if you're really struggling with communication in English, you need to absolutely nail that. In terms of the 3 things that I find really challenging being a project manager, starts with having to influence without authority. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you what a day in my life looks like working as a project manager in England in the public sector. Now, you might be one of my subscribers, most likely from South Korea, so you might be really curious to see simply how my day works working in the UK as a project manager, or you might be new to this channel, you might be just very curious about what it means to be a project manager. Now, I work from home and I work for the national healthcare system, so you need to bear that in mind because everybody's experience is so different depending on which sector, which company, which culture, which team, and the ways of working in those different settings. So please understand that this is purely based on my life, my experience, and I recommend you go do more research from other YouTubers as well who are sharing their life as a project manager. Now, a little disclaimer, I'm actually moving away from project management and starting a new job in user research. So at the end of the video, I'll tell you sort of why I made that decision, and from that I think it'll be good to tell you 3 things that I really enjoyed about being a project manager and 3 things that I found really challenging about being a project manager. And maybe I'll tell you also 3 things that I think is really important for you to understand if you were to think about being a project manager. So without further ado, I'm really excited to take you through my day, so let's get started right away. I usually wake up at around 7 a.m. and spend about half an hour to get ready and make myself a hot drink. This is like my morning ritual. I need to have a hot drink with me in the morning, otherwise I probably get a little bit moody. I usually have breakfast whenever I get hungry, but this day I was starving, so I made myself a little bagel to start my day. And from 7:30 until 9 a.m. I do some work before my main work, and I actually wanted to address this in this video because I think it's such a big part of being in the NHS where your hours are guaranteed, so you can make sure you use your time before work to develop your skills, to invest in your side projects, your dreams, or other passions outside of work. So I do think this is a really big pro for the job that I'm doing right now. My main work as a project manager starts at 9 a.m, pretty sharp, but as you can see, I work from home, which is again a massive plus to save time for investing in your passion projects, exercise, or anything else I want to get done in the morning. I try not to start my day with emails, but in reality, I always end up checking my emails first to make sure that nothing urgent has come up. And to be fair, I'll leave most emails as unread again and come back to it later when I have a little bit more time. At the start of the day, I also do a stock take of what I need to do for the day. And sometimes if it's a Monday, I also have a look at what calls I've got for the week, any important meetings with stakeholders that I need to be aware of. And this list has been working like magic for me. I make sure I tick off all the boxes, and the ones with a star, I need to make sure I get them done today. As you can see, I have a call soon in about 20 minutes. Meetings usually start at around 10 a.m. or at the earliest, I would say 9:30 in the NHS, or at least in NHS England where I work, because 9 a.m. is kind of seen like, whoa, really? Is it that important? or it can wait, sort of thing. Anyway, I finished off my to-do list before going into my first call of the day. A little side note here, I make sure to use a proper headset with good sound quality because as a project manager, I speak a lot during the day, have lots of calls with stakeholders, so I think having a proper mic really helps. Once a week, I'll go through the relevant parts of the project tracker with the team, and it's me who maintains this tracker as well. On this day, we went through the project schedules and tasks, and we also went through the action log, and sometimes we'll also use this time to escalate any risks and discuss things about the project. Between 10:30 and 11, I had a quick one-to-one catch-up with my line manager and did some quick admin stuff. Can you see my screen? So I think this call won't last half an hour. We just need to agree on these columns that we discussed previously about the KPIs. I had another 2 half-an-hour meetings to discuss specific things. And at this point, I also wanted to say that my second call was about a different project. So as a project manager, I previously have managed up to 3-4 projects in one go. It does get a bit hectic, but I thought it's quite important to mention that being a project manager doesn't mean that you look after a single project, and that completely depends on the company and where you are working, to be honest. I have lunch around maybe 12, half 12, sometimes a bit later than that. It depends when I don't have calls. And if it's quiet, I'd often go for a walk. I'll call my mum, I'll have some food and take a slightly longer lunch break up to an hour. And I just like to say it is so nice how I can do this. At 12:30, we actually had one of the project's launch events. So there were lots of stakeholders present, and our working group was on quite high alert, making sure that there was nothing going wrong in the webinar, and we're following up on all the questions coming from people. And I make sure I have breaks time to time because otherwise my back pain is like, hello. They're usually about 10 minutes, and this is when I realize my awful habit of hoarding loads of mugs and cups in my room, so I try to get rid of them. When I don't have any calls, I use that time to really focus on actually getting the work done. I'm actually quite introverted, so this is probably the favorite time of the day. As a project manager, it can be really hard when you have calls back to back constantly, and it raises more actions that you need to do and you don't actually have any time to do them. To be fair, in my current team, I don't have that many calls, but in my previous project management role in another team, it was just crazy. Anyway, we move. I forgot to film this, guys, so sorry, but at 4 o'clock I had another call with a project stakeholder, and at 4:30 until 5 o'clock I finished off my emails and wrapped up the day. Finishing at 5 p.m. is just amazing in my opinion, because 5 p.m. is not really the end of the day for me. At 5 p.m. I start working on my own personal projects again until about 7:30 p.m. Not going to go into too much detail about this because we're really focusing on the project management stuff. But yeah, this sharp finish is really good because I'm able to protect my own time to invest in other projects outside my working hours. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Now that we're coming towards the end of the video, I wanted to tell you a few things that I think is really important in order for you to be a successful project manager. I think the number one thing that stood out to me from my experience is about stakeholder management. I sometimes think the whole thing about being a project manager goes down to your ability to engage and manage stakeholders, because no projects are done by a single individual, and project managers don't do the work itself, although it kind of depends on the situation. So it's so important to be able to manage a really good relationship with all the different types of people and be that contact point, be that brain of the project and how it's going. Another thing that you need to remember is that your role as a project manager is to ensure that a project which has a start and an end date will be delivered according to the requirements that's been agreed, and it gets delivered in time and within the budget that's been agreed. So if you make that happen, if you can make that happen, then that means you have been successful as a project manager, in my opinion. So yeah, stakeholder management, relationship building is important, and ownership of getting something delivered in time, in cost, in budget is, I think, the fundamental of being a project manager. And in terms of the three things that I find really challenging being a project manager, starts with having to influence without authority. I'd never experienced this in my career before. I kind of thought project managers have the sort of more seniority at the very beginning when I didn't really understand the role, but that is not true. In my case, as a project manager, I was actually a lot less senior than everybody else in my team or the external stakeholders that I was engaging with. So you have to influence people and get them to support you to get the buy-in for the project without having hierarchical authority over them. This, I think, is a really good challenge for everybody to learn, because that is healthy in my opinion, but it is hard because people are busy, people have other priorities, and sometimes they just don't want to listen to you, and it means that you have to spend a lot of energy in each of these relationships in the way that is required to get you that buy-in and for you to get that influence over the project. So I found that really, really challenging at the beginning. But in my previous projects, after sort of 6 months, 12 months of developing a piece of work, it became so rewarding. So it does feel great at the end of it. You feel like you're this glue of making things happen. But to get to that point, it does take time, it does take grind, and especially if you're in South Korea at the moment and you're really struggling with that sort of communication in English, you need to absolutely nail that, because it's so fundamental to communicate effectively with all the stakeholders, all the project team. I think the second thing that was quite hard for me is kind of related to the stakeholder and the relationship building side of things. I'm quite introverted by nature, and having to manage all of these relationships, spending all of my time on emails, calls often, has been quite hard. To be fair, my current role that I'm in right now, I don't have that many calls, but in my previous project management role, I often had 8 to 10 calls a day sometimes. When the project was busy, I had 12 calls. It was just too much for an introvert to handle, so definitely keep that in mind. In terms of the final challenge that I would like to share with you today is that it can be quite boring if you're like me, because in my company, in my setting, we as a project manager don't deliver the work, right? The people in the project team actually deliver the work, or in the public sector, we often commission, we pay other groups, other consultancies to do the work for us. I find that actually quite hard because I wanted to get more involved in actually doing the work. So that's just me and my characteristics, but I thought I'd share that with you guys. And the three things that I really enjoy about being a project manager is, I think, number one, it's satisfying to plan. I'm a natural planner and I like organizing things. I like putting things in place, and it satisfies me to know that I know when things need to happen for us to get to this position. And if you're like me, I think you might quite enjoy that aspect of being a project manager. Second thing that I really enjoyed was people rely on you as a point of contact. People will come to you to ask about things. People will come to you to present in front of steering groups, important meetings. And I think that is a great way of getting experience and getting exposure to loads of different people, loads of different aspects. So I really enjoyed that aspect of being a project manager. The third thing that I really enjoy about being a project manager, I can't really think of one. I'm so sorry. I think this is why I should probably just move on to telling you why I'm sort of moving away from my project management role. But I genuinely think maybe if I had experienced a bit more variety of roles in project management, so things like budget management or things like business cases, maybe it would have been a little bit more fun and dynamic. By the way, this is another disclaimer. You have seen a few things in my video today, but there is so much more to being a project manager than what you've seen today. There are loads of things that's not been included, like risk management, contract management, doing a business case, risk reviews, gate reviews. There are so many different things you have to be able to do as a project manager. This is just a snapshot of my day, so obviously you are limited to only seeing that part of the thing. Anyways, I am moving away from my project management role because originally I started working as an analyst and I kind of got flown, like I kind of went with the flow and took the project management role because I'll be honest, it was a promotion. I thought I was kind of good at it. I enjoyed it. It was quite satisfying, but I didn't really make a conscious decision saying I would like to be a project manager. I think that was probably the ultimate reason why I'm moving away from that. Recently, I've developed the idea of taking more control over what I do in my career. Rather than sort of going with the flow and seeing what opportunities arise, I wanted to be a bit more proactive in searching for what it is that I want to do. And that's why I found this user experience research role, because I love empathizing with people. I love finding problems. I love designing solutions to these problems. The role seemed really exciting. So I've decided to move away from my project management role. And I think that's probably why I wanted to film this vlog day in a life video with you, because obviously I won't be able to show you this anymore and I'll be sort of putting an end to my sort of project management career at this stage. So I hope this video was useful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer them as much as I can. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like the video and subscribe if you would like more videos like this. I'm really curious to see if there are any audiences who are watching this video who are not from sort of my usual South Korean audience, and if that is the case, I could start making more videos in English so that maybe more audiences can benefit from these videos, but I'm not sure yet, so I'll see how this goes. And today, thank you so much for spending your time watching my video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.